The unsolved mystery of National Airlines Flight 9671959. Story outline. On a crisp evening in November 1959, National Airlines Flight 967, a Douglas DC-7 billion, prepared for a routine flight from Tampa, Florida, to New Orleans, Louisiana. Passengers settled into their seats, unaware of the ominous fate awaiting them. Among them were businessmen, families, and a few travelers eager to reach their destination as the festive holiday season loomed. The flight took off smoothly, its engines roaring as it ascended into the skies. The crew operated with calm professionalism, guiding the aircraft westward over the Gulf of Mexico. The cabin buzzed with the quiet conversations of passengers and the gentle clink of glasses from the galley. Hours later, something went horribly wrong. The last known radio contact from the flight was uneventful, but soon after, the plane disappeared from radar without a trace. An extensive search commenced, with Coast Guard and naval vessels scouring the Gulf for signs of wreckage or survivors. Days passed, and only a few fragmented pieces of debris washed ashore. The bodies of the passengers and the main wreckage of the aircraft were never found, deepening the enigma surrounding the flight's final moments. Theories abounded, ranging from catastrophic mechanical failure to sabotage. One chilling possibility suggested the involvement of a former National Airlines employee who may have boarded under an alias, carrying explosives to settle a personal vendetta. Despite exhaustive investigations, no conclusive explanation was ever reached. The mystery of National Airlines Flight 967 remains one of aviation's most haunting unsolved cases, with the waters of the Gulf still holding secrets from that tragic night in 1959. The unsolved mystery of National Airlines Flight 9671959. It was November 16, 1959, a seemingly ordinary evening at Tampa International Airport. Travelers hurried through the terminals, bidding farewell to loved ones or exchanging quick pleasantries before boarding their flights. Among them, passengers were boarding National Airlines Flight 967, a Douglas DC-7 billion aircraft destined for New Orleans, Louisiana. The evening air was cool, and a slight breeze rustled the flags outside the airport, adding a sense of tranquility to the bustling scene. As the flight crew prepared for departure, Captain Dale Southard, an experienced aviator with years of flying under his belt, conducted routine checks with his co-pilot. The cabin crew, dressed in crisp uniforms, greeted the 42 passengers with warm smiles as they guided them to their seats. For the passengers, it was a typical journey. Some were business travelers eager to reach New Orleans for important meetings. Others were families hoping to reunite with loved ones, and a few were vacationers seeking adventure in the vibrant city. Laughter, chatter, and the rustling of newspapers filled the cabin. Flight 967's engines roared to life, and the powerful aircraft taxied to the runway. Within minutes, it lifted into the sky, ascending smoothly above the city lights of Tampa, which grew smaller as the plane climbed higher into the darkening heavens. The cabin lights dimmed, and a few passengers closed their eyes, hoping to catch some sleep during the flight over the Gulf of Mexico. The calm before the storm. The first hour of the flight was uneventful. The aircraft soared westward, its path illuminated by the pale moonlight reflecting off the Gulf's shimmering waves. Captain Southard maintained steady communication with air traffic control, reporting no irregularities. The co-pilot checked instruments, and the flight attendants moved gracefully through the aisles, offering refreshments to the passengers. Everything seemed routine, a typical night flight for National Airlines. But as the aircraft crossed deeper into the Gulf of Mexico, something inexplicable happened. The last radio transmission from Flight 967 was routine no distress call, no indication of trouble. Just moments later, the plane vanished from radar. Air traffic controllers tried desperately to re-establish contact, but the radios only echoed with static. Panic set in at the control towers, and emergency procedures were initiated. The Coast Guard and the U.S. Navy launched an intensive search operation across the Gulf, deploying ships and aircraft to scour the vast waters for any trace of the missing flight. Families of the passengers clung to hope as they waited anxiously, praying for news. The search for answers. The search operation covered thousands of square miles, but days passed with little to show for the effort. Finally, bits of wreckage, small, twisted pieces of metal washed ashore along the Texas coastline. But the debris offered few clues and the mystery only deepened. The main fuselage of the Douglas DC-7 billion and the bodies of the passengers and crew were never found, swallowed by the Gulf's unforgiving waters. Aviation experts and investigators struggled to piece together what could have gone so horribly wrong. There was no concrete evidence of an in-flight emergency, no distress call, no clear explanation. As weeks turned into months, the case grew colder and theories began to circulate. One possibility was catastrophic mechanical failure. The Douglas DC-7 billion was a powerful but complex aircraft, and a sudden engine malfunction or structural failure could have led to a fatal crash. But without the wreckage, proving this theory was impossible. The Civil Aeronautics Board cab pored over maintenance records, but they found nothing out of the ordinary. The chilling theory of sabotage. As time passed, a darker theory emerged, one that suggested foul play. Investigators uncovered evidence that a former National Airlines employee who had a history of disputes with the company might have boarded Flight 967 under an alias. This man had a motive, a vendetta against his former employer, and there were whispers that he had been seen carrying a suitcase onto the flight. Some believed he had planted an explosive device on board, seeking revenge in a horrifying act of sabotage. Rumors spread like wildfire, but the evidence was circumstantial at best. No one could prove the identity of the mystery passenger, and no credible witnesses came forward to confirm the tale. The explosive sabotage theory, while compelling, remained just that, a theory, impossible to substantiate. The families of the victims were left with more questions than answers. They mourned their lost loved ones, attending memorial services with heavy hearts, but the lack of closure haunted them. The Gulf of Mexico held its secrets tightly, and even the most determined divers and search teams could not penetrate its depths to retrieve the aircraft. The legacy of Flight 967. Over the decades, the disappearance of National Airlines Flight 967 became a case that both intrigued and baffled aviation enthusiasts and historians. It stood as a chilling reminder of the mysteries the skies could hold and the heartache that unanswered questions could leave behind. Each year, on the anniversary of the flight's disappearance, families and loved ones still remember those lost in that nightmarish ordeal. They gather quietly, some placing flowers at memorials, whispering prayers into the wind, hoping that one day the Gulf's waters will release the truth it has concealed since that fateful night in 1959. Despite the passage of time, the mystery remains, an unsolved enigma that will forever echo in the annals of aviation history. What truly happened to National Airlines Flight 967? The answer may still lie beneath the waves, waiting to be discovered.